So you're thinking about moving to Rockledge, Florida. Well, today, Nicole and I are going to go over the pros and cons. We're going to do 3 pros and 3 cons of living in Rockledge, Florida. And Nicole actually is living in Rockledge right now, so we got like a local's perspective as well. Let's get started. So pro number 1, location.
Yes, definitely. I would think the fact that it's close to Cocoa Village and Viera, depending on where you are in Rockledge, you're a very short drive. You could even be walking distance to both of those locations. So while Rockledge itself doesn't necessarily have a lot tied to its city name, it is very close to Cocoa Village. Like I said, it's very close to the avenues, which has tons of shopping, restaurants, things to do there, that outside mall area.
Yeah, those are 2 of my favorite places in Brevard too. It's centrally located as well. I'm not sure if you pointed that out, but you're pretty much central in the county. So getting over to Melbourne, super easy. Getting to Titusville, super easy. Getting to the airport's quick. Getting to Merritt Island, getting to the beach is easy, but you're central, you're inland, but Viera has a ton to offer as far as shopping. Did you mention Whole Foods and Trader Joe's?
Yeah, no, I haven't yet. So that's new coming to the area, which is really exciting because right there on the cusp of where Rockledge kind of turns into that Viera area, we have the Whole Foods coming in, and then further into the avenues, we have a Trader Joe's that is due to be coming in. And if you're wanting that feel for maybe the more like commercial shopping and being able to go to like a Sephora, you can go that route and go to Viera, or you can go the opposite direction and you're very close to being in that historic area of Cocoa Village and having more of the small town business feel.
I've actually had clients that they were retiring and they decided to live in Rockledge because they like the prices more, but it was so close to Viera and they loved Viera that they loved being like literally 5 minutes away from all the amenities. But they paid Rockledge prices, which we'll get into in a little bit. Going back to location, so the pro of, like we said, Rockledge is the location of it. However, it is not beachside. So a lot of people that move to Florida, you want to be super close to the beach. And so how far away are you right now to the beach?
Well, when I lived right on the cusp of Rockledge that almost was Cocoa, I was still a 20-minute drive to get to the beach. So
it's not bad.
It's not bad, but it's definitely not Merritt Island or obviously being on beachside. So you are going to have a little bit of a buffer there as far as your drive time to the beach. It's definitely not something you want to ride your bike. So it's our ride there. What it does have though is riverfront. So there are areas of Rockledge that have a water view and a waterfront property, which is...
Yeah, so let's bring that into pro number 2. So it has some beautiful riverfront homes. So if you're a boater or always dreamed of living on the water, you can get a gorgeous home on Rockledge Drive, which is, I think, my favorite drive in the counties. Yeah, lots of historical homes, but newer homes too. The oak trees line the road and you have a gorgeous view of the river. And some of those are pretty close. Like you could ride your bike over into Cocoa Village as well. Like it connects over to Cocoa.
You and I have talked about some of our dream roads and dream places to be. River Road, as we call it, is one of those places. That is top location because you can have riverfront property. You can still be walking or biking distance to Cocoa Village. And so you kind of have the best of both worlds where feeling you're kind of in the mix of the action, but also a little tucked away once you go back home.
Have you been to Whistle Stop Cafe?
Yes.
It's my favorite. I feel like I'm in Gilmore Girls or, So there's this really cute cafe, which is like the old downtown of Rockledge, which is not what you think of downtown, but they have a shop and a little cafe and there's a church.
There's a beautiful Presbyterian church there too. It's cute.
And yeah, I love going to that cafe. The food's amazing. The owner there, she's so sweet. And every time I go, I just feel like I'm, kind of like in Gilmore Girls, that feeling that you live in a small town and you know everyone. I feel like that when I go there. So I highly recommend stopping by there. Their potatoes are so good. We're gonna go over the next con, but real quick, if you're new here, my name is Rachel Langley. This is Nicole Barna, and together we help people every day move to the Space Coast and Rockledge. So if you have interest in moving to the area, whether it's new construction or resale, make sure to reach out. Our information's on the screen right here. You can call, text, or email us because we got your back when it comes to moving to the Space Coast.
This could be a con or a pro.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say in Brevard County, Rockledge is one of the cities that probably has the most HOA communities. And that could be seen as a pro or a con. There are a lot of people who do not want the restrictions of an HOA, but if you do, there are newer homes, there are gated home communities there are homes with amenities, so you do have that. But if you are one of those who just doesn't like the restrictions of an HOA and would prefer to if you don't like the restrictions of an HOA, that could be seen as a con.
Yeah, I think if you would prefer like land with no HOA, Cocoa might be better, or Titusville. I guess I've sold a couple that weren't, but most of the homes I've sold in Rockledge were in HOAs.
I think once you get west of US 1, that's where you see those communities. And for those who do like it, it could be, sometimes it's lawn included. Sometimes it's making sure that the community is very well kept and they like that part of it, or maybe there's even a community pool. So there are pros of those. It just depends on your specific lifestyle and what you're looking for in a home and a community.
Yeah, something I've noticed too, this happened a couple times with homes I sold in Rockledge, is now not all communities have this rule, but be careful if you have pets or dog. I have a lot of clients that call me like, we need a fence. And some of these communities allow fences on the water, like the metal fences, but I've actually sold a few in Rockledge that did not allow fences on the water. So something to look out for, why you'd want to reach out to us. We can help sift through those houses for you. But that's something I've noticed a lot of people automatically think they could put a fence up, which I get. I have dogs too. I need a fence. Yeah, that's one thing too.
That is good to know, because if it's a lakefront property, a lot of times it's hit or miss if they'll allow the back fence that lines the waterfront. And then there are communities that don't allow fences at all. So it's just really important to know which ones can and cannot.
Okay, so the last pro on our list is affordability. It's not on the beach, so a lot of people will come into the area and be looking for someone close. 20 minutes away is not bad to the beach, and it's an easy drive. A lot of people will want Viera. It has A-rated schools. You can drive your golf cart around, but can be priced out. So we get a lot of overflow into Rockledge, which is a very close distance to Viera, but it's a lot more affordable. So let's talk about kind of price ranges.
Yeah, so there are neighborhoods that are east of Fisk and ones that are off Morel. You get single family homes, I would say in the 300s, 400s. And then you even have condos that are very close to Viera off of Morel, which is a big street that runs through Rockledge. And you can get condos, 2-bedroom condos in the 200s even. So when you think of proximity to Viera, that's an excellent price point.
Yeah, I've sold too, like in the HOA neighborhoods, I've sold pool homes starting at $450, a beautiful home, updated, which is like, you can't find that in Viera for an updated home. And then, I've sold a couple that were like $550 that were in a really nice HOAs, beautiful, updated with pools as well. And there's some really beautiful $1 million homes as well, where you can be on an acre, 2 acres on land. They're more west. If you take a right into Fisk, there's some beautiful neighborhoods that you could get something on a larger lot of land. So yeah, I think, if you were in Viera, it's almost impossible to find something over an acre. You have Adelaide, where they have properties on about an acre, but in Rockledge, you can get a gorgeous home for over an acre. So yeah, lots of variety.
I would say too, for the buyers that I've had starting their search in Merritt Island and ending up in Rockledge, you have affordability in generally lower insurance as well, because it's mainland. So if you think of it that way as well, if you're comparing it to the more eastern cities, that's another area where it's more affordable.
Yeah, and they do have a new construction community right now too, called Catamaran Cove. I have a couple clients purchasing in there. They're really excited, and they priced out Viera versus this community, and they got a bigger home for a lower price. So there is that option as well. And something I wanted to mention too, because I know I mentioned that a lot of people go to Viera because they have A-rated schools. I know we're not supposed to really talk too much about schools, but to give a perspective, I know someone that lives in Viera and they actually send their child to Rockledge schools because Rockledge has the Cambridge program, which is for kids that excel in academics. And so if you might have a child that is similar in that perspective, you might want to, I always recommend calling the schools and asking about more information on that. Something to keep in mind that there is that program. And then con number 3, I know this is a little bit repetitive because this can really go for anywhere in Florida, but I think it's good to talk about because we can give our perspective on it. And that's really, in Florida, especially if you're coming from out of state, you run into things, hurricanes, hot weather in the summer, bugs. With hurricanes especially, I always recommend getting flood insurance. Doesn't really flood that much in Rockledge, but you never know. We just had a really bad storm and they called it a 1,000-year flood up in Titusville. So you just want to make sure you protect yourself with the right insurance. Even though some parts of Rockledge are in flood zones and some aren't.
Yeah.
But you just want to, get the flood insurance. I think we're at $850 a year. Inland, I've sold a few in Viera that were like $500, so I would think Rockledge is pretty comparable.
Yeah, and there are areas of River Road that have homes that are lower elevation too. So yeah, there are areas that do have some flooding.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That's important.
Yeah, and I have some clients that are like, we don't want to be anywhere near that has flooding like that. So that's why it's super important to work with Asians that can go the extra mile and help you do that research you've lived here your whole life. You know what areas kind of flood bad.
Well, I will say too, if I can quickly add another pro that we weren't really planning on, a bonus. But I just remember being like, oh, mainland is so great because they get their power back after the hurricane burst. So
yeah, you're not cut off.
You're not cut off. No, but I mean, I just remember being like, being mainland is really nice because you do, if something were to go out, usually you get that response of getting your power back on.
Yeah. And going back to like the heat, yes, it gets super hot here in the summertime, but even though Rockledge is inland, it gets an amazing breeze because of the Atlantic Ocean and the rivers. So that's something just kind of unique to the East Coast in general. Like if you're comparing it to Tampa gets super hot in the summer. We kind of get some relief from that wind, but honestly, if you're like me and you grew up in the cold your whole life, like that's nothing. The heat's nothing compared to a blizzard. And then also the bugs, honestly, you're just gonna want to hire a pest control company that comes every month and you'll be good. And it's not that expensive. I think $295 a year. So there you go. It's not bad. And then you don't, get riches in your house.
And if you are on the river with a river view, you are getting sunrises. You are getting the sunrises, which is nice.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is all we have for you today. Those are our pros and cons for Rockledge. Honestly, we had a hard time coming up with cons because Nicole, you love living there and it's a great location. All our clients that have moved to the area absolutely love it for the convenience, for the prices. Florida in general is just so life-changing, especially if you've never lived here before. So like I mentioned earlier, if you have interest in moving to the area, maybe you have a job offer, you're relocating, maybe you're retiring, moving close to family, whatever the case be, make sure to reach out because we got your back when it comes to moving to Rockledge and all the Space Coast for that matter. Our information is on screen right here, the pinned comment and description below. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Rachel Legley. This is Nicole Barna, and we'll see you on the next one.